So good morning. Today we are going to be taking notes on measures of central tendency. We will be on page 118 and 117. This topic page goes on to our page 118, and your practice is going to go on page 117. If you need to, you can pause the video so that you can add in your topic and essential question, but the class that I'm with right now already has done so we're good to begin. Central tendency measures is basically what we do with data. When we collect data, we have to do something with it to organize it so that we can process it and see patterns. So that is what we're talking about with this. We're specifically looking today at the concepts of mean, median, and mode. Your essential question is, how do you find the mean, median, and mode of a set of numbers or data? We're looking at 6SP3 or 6SP5. Those are the two introduction standards for the mean, median, mode. As we move into the 7th grade, we will take this data and we will also find range, interquartile range. We'll also use different ways of graphing our data like histograms, dot plots, and box and whiskers plots. So this is just kind of the introduction to what we're going to do with this data later on. So when you're done with this lesson, you should be able to summarize. You should be able to summarize data by the mean and the median. And I'm going to just start off by writing 4 numbers. I'm going to do 3, 5, 2, and 4. So I've got this data set, and this is what we're going to, it's a set of numbers that we are using to record. And we're going to try to figure out patterns within this set of 4 numbers. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the mean. So I'm going to go to this box right here in the center, and we're going to first start off by writing the process that we use to find the mean. And mean is another word for average. If you've ever found the average, you've found the mean. So the mean, the first thing we do when we have numbers and we want to find the mean is we add all the numbers together. So with the numbers that we presented earlier, we had 3, 5, 2, and 4. If I add them together, 3, 5, 2, and 4, I'm going to get 3 plus 5 is 8, 2 plus 4 is 6. I add those together and I get 14. So now I have added all the numbers together. The second step is we are going to divide by the sum. We're going to divide, I said by, let's cross that word by, it doesn't need to go there. We're going to divide the sum, or the answer, now we put that by in, by how many numbers there are. Okay, so we are dividing the sum or the answer by how many numbers they are. So in our example that we did with 3, 5, 2, and 4, how many numbers do we have in that data set total? Go ahead.
4.
4. We have 4 numbers. Correct. So our sum was 14, so we're going to take 14 and we're going to divide it by 4. Well, 4 goes into 14 3 times, which is 4 times 3 is 12. And I don't want to have a remainder, so I'm going to add a decimal point and a 0. 4 goes into 20 5 times. So in this case, my mean would have been 3.5. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is find the median. And just like when you drive down the freeway and you have a median, which is the middle of the road, have you ever seen that grassy part on the freeway that's in the middle? Median is another word for the middle. We're going to find the middle number. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to, when we have a data set, we're going to put the numbers in order. Okay. So I'm going to have Alyssa come up here, and she's going to take over this. Alyssa, will you help put these numbers in order? The 3, 5, 2, and 4. Hello? Yes. Hi, Christy. Okay. Can I finish recording some notes and then come down? All right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. Thank you, Alyssa. Good job. So Alyssa put the numbers 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to find, once we put them in order, we're going to put them now, find the middle number. We're going to find the middle number. And how I do that is it's very scientific. I take my two little fingers like this, and I just do little hops into the center. So I start at the outside number here and the outside number here, and I hop my way in. So I just go hop. And what I found here that I've come to where now my fingers, and don't get grossed out, 6th graders, but they're now kissing, see? When your fingers are kissing, you've made it to the median. You're now in the middle. So once again, I go out here and I just go hop. They're smooching, and now I am in the center. See, now you'll always remember how to find the median. Now, but here's the problem. I have this number is in the center and this number. Do you see that there's not a perfect center? If I would hop in one more, I would have been to a perfect number in the middle, but I'm not. So that brings us to the next step. The next step is if two numbers are in the center or in the middle, you're going to find the mean of them. And remember, to find the mean, you add all the numbers together, you divide by 2. But we're not adding all of the numbers in our data set. We're only adding the 2 that when our fingers came together and they kissed, those 2 numbers, we're going to add those together, divide by 2, and we'll get the mean of them. So 3 plus 4 is what, class? 7. So we're going to do 7 divided by 2, which, what is 7 divided by 2? 3 and a half. So we're going to have 3 and a half. Our median in this case is going to also be 3 and a half. All right, next I'm going to have my friend Audrey come down, and Audrey is going to read and write the notes for mode.
Okay, so the first step for mode is the number you see repeated the most. And the second step is it might be more than 1 or none.
Thank you so much, Audrey. Okay, so what Audrey was saying is the first thing you're going to do when you're finding mode, which, by the way, let me just tell you that mode is my favorite one to do because it's so ridiculously easy. There's no finding the average or adding or dividing or even making my little fingers kiss each other. There's nothing I have to do except just look at the data set. Do any of the numbers repeat? If the numbers repeat, that's the mode. Will you find the one that repeats the most? That's the mode. If no numbers repeat, you have no mode. If more than one number is repeated, the same amount. So let's say I were to have on this data set, my data set right now that I have is a 3, 5, 2, 4. In that case, there's no mode, right? Because there's no number that repeats. But let's say I add one more 2 in there. Do I have a mode now?
Yes.
Which number repeats? 2. Now, let's say I add another 2 and I add a 3. The 3 is repeating and the 2 is repeating, but what one would be my mode? Jacob? 2 because it is, well, you said 2 because it is repeated how many times?
3.
And 3 is only repeated
2.
twice, so that is correct. 3 would be the mode. But remember, in my first data set, there wasn't a mode, right? It would have been none because there wasn't any number that was repeated. Alyssa? I said the wrong thing. Thank you, Alyssa, for catching me. Where is my brain? 2 would be, in fact, the mode. Thank you, girl. Okay, so now we're going to do some practicing. And for this practicing, I am going to allow us to use a calculator. Okay, so there are calculators that are in your green boxes. They're not there. Take the calculators out of the green box. And we're going to use them to help us with the next section. Okay, here we go. So in this next section, we have numbers. This set of 7 numbers, the first thing we have to do is we need to start off by putting them in order from least to greatest. So which one is our smallest number that's in that data set, guys? Anybody?
21.
21. Okay. Now what comes next?
22.
Before that, there's another 21. There's 2 21s. Next, we have the next number, which is 22. Now, I'm going to put little check marks so that I make sure that I get them all, because it's very easy when I'm doing these type of problems to forget numbers, and then guess what? All of my data gets screwed up and messed up, and I have to go back and fix it, and I make a big mess. Don't make a big mess. Make little check marks or dots. The next number would be 32. Then we have 35. Then we have 45. And then we have 80. And I'm going to just make sure I've got my 80, my 45, my 35, and my 32. So I've got all my data, and it's in order. So the next thing, I'm going to skip all the way down and do mode first, because remember, it's my favorite, because it's the easiest one, right? So do I have any numbers that are repeating? Yes, Audrey? 21. So that would be my mode. Super easy. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Next, we have our numbers, and this is we're going to do, I'm going to just go backwards. So let's now go to the median. Remember our little kissy fingers? So I even have done this in the past where I've drawn little, like, happy faces on my fingers. Yes.
Oh, I know that.
So here's my little happy fingers. See? There's little happy faces on them. And then they go, bloop. I know you think I'm crazy, but you will remember how to find median forever. Bloop. And guess where I get to the middle and I get, mwah! Where did they kiss?
32.
At 32. 32 is your median. Y'all are laughing, but you know you're going home and drawing little kissy fingers. Okay, so the next one is the median. With median, what are our 2 steps? First, we add all the numbers. So we're going to add, and for this is where we're going to use our lovely little calculator friend. I'm going to add my numbers. I've got 21 plus 21 plus 22 plus 32 plus 35 plus 45 plus 80. So I added all of my numbers up, and I got, wow, that is not a great way to see a calculator, but it says, what you cannot see there, is when I added them all up, I got 256. So that was what had happened when I added them up. Who can tell me what is my step number 2? What is the next thing I do? Lily?
You would divide
By?
You would divide by 7.
7, because that's the number of numbers we have in the data set, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to divide by 7. I'm going to use my mighty calculator again. Now, I could have added these up. I could have divided using, annexing zeros and done it. But when we have big numbers like this, most times I will let you just use a calculator because life is too short. All right, so 256 divided by 7, we end up with 36, and I'm going to stop at the second digit at the hundredths place, and I'm going to round it to 57. So 36 and 57 hundredths is going to be our mean. Now, on page 117, you have 4 different examples. For each one, I want you to write the mean, the median, and the mode for each one. On these ones, you may use the calculators that are in your boxes to help you, but you need to make sure that I see that you know how to find all of those 3 different things. When you're done, you can, like I said, if you want to try without using the calculators and then use the calculators to check, you can do that, or you can solve with the calculators. That is how we do central tendency and organize our data. From this point, we will be going to use this data to find the range. We'll find the quartile range, interquartile ranges. We'll do box and whisker plots, dot plots. There's all kinds of fun things that we can do with data, as long as we know how to find the mean, median, and mode. Thank you so much.